What is going on, traders? We got a few things to discuss before we get into that. Like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So I say this all the time. What happens on Mondays? Mondays usually mirror Fridays. What does that mean if you're new to the channel? That means that when Fridays are bearish, usually Mondays are bearish. When Fridays are bullish, usually Mondays are bullish. When you get like a mixture of the two, where you get some half bullish, half bearish, or vice versa, then usually Mondays reflect that as well. If you've been following this channel since like day one, and you haven't caught on to that by now, I mean, it's been like clockwork for the past year, where Mondays do exactly what Friday did. And what happened on Friday? Majority of the day was bearish, and then towards close, bulls stepped in very aggressive and bought us back up. What happened today? Majority of the day today, we dropped all the way down to about 522.6 on the SPY. And what happened towards close? Bulls stepped in very aggressive. So what does that mean for tomorrow? Well, first, we have to take note that tomorrow at around 10 a.m. Eastern, we have JOLTS job opening. So if you're the type of trader to pay attention to news or trade off news, that is something to pay attention to. So keep that in mind before you decide to trade tomorrow. But other than that, that's pretty much all we have for tomorrow, and things are looking really bullish for now. Okay, as you guys can see, we marked our key level here at around 525. We tried to break below it, and bulls stepped in and bought us back up immediately. We zoom out, we see rejection here. We broke through here, we bounced here, we rejected here, and we rejected here once again, or we bounced here once again. We bounced off the supply and demand zone. Not only did we bounce off supply and demand zone, but we bounced off this trend here as well, leaving wicks here, leaving a huge wick right here as well, right? So what do I tell you guys? Wicks tell you where sellers and buyers are, and buyers stepped in very aggressive here on the SPY. I also said in the last video that SPY has room to head towards that 529 level. So I will say this much. It is important to be cautious here. Okay, we're still in pretty cautious territory here, right? Reason being is that we're still pretty much in this range. We haven't really gone anywhere. Sure, we broke down here, but then we bought us right back up. That is a good sign, right? But we're still trapped in this range. So anything can happen with this JOLTS job openings news that we have tomorrow. So I would be cautious. I will wait for that and see what happens from there. Do what you want with that information. But until we break above this 530, I would say 529, 530 range, I will play it cautious. Okay, me as a trader, that's me personally, I will play it cautious. I wouldn't jump the gun quite yet. If we can get out of the supply and demand zone, and if you guys can see, I didn't actually mark it, but hopefully you guys can see the pattern here where we keep rejecting here, we rejected here, we even consolidated in this area a few times, rejected here as well. So this is a very important supply and demand zone. If we can get above 532 on the SPY, I think we're clear to head towards that 534, and if we clear 534, 535 psych level, we're heading to new highs, or we'll pretty much be at new highs at that point, and then we'll be in price discovery mode. As far as downside goes, I'm not too worried about the downside. I told you guys in the last two videos actually that 520, I don't see us going any lower than 520 in the near future. 519 being the most. Until we break below 519, 520 range and hold, I'm not concerned too much about downside. Bears tried to bring us down to that 520 or below it, and bulls stepped in immediately, very aggressively on Friday. So that just shows me that bulls are strong in this market, and they do not want this thing to drop, tank, crash, correction, whatever you want to call it. For now, I remain bullish to the upside. Call me a perma bull, but we can't ignore the details here. Twice so far, bulls have stepped in aggressively every time we got a drop. At some point in time, if this continues, I imagine bears are going to give up, get stopped out of their positions, and give up, and we're going to head to newer highs on the SPY. So that's really all I have for the SPY. Your key levels is 532. At first 529, we can head towards 529. After that, 530, 532 will be your main level for us to potentially head towards newer highs. After 532, you're looking at 534, 535 range, and after that, we're going to the moon. Okay, so that's really all I have as far as the SPY triple Qs. So today was pretty interesting, and what threw me for a loop for just a little bit, I was a little worried a little bit, because I do have calls, of course, not on Qs, but just on the stocks that I showed you guys in the last video, I believe. It got a little shaky, right? And when I was looking at the SPY and we broke below this key level, I'm like, there's no way we're heading towards 520 again. And the market doesn't care what I think, of course. But I was like, man, if we're heading towards 520 again, that could be a potential double bottom, right? So it was really tough for me to just stay in my positions. I was just hoping that maybe we can get some type of double bottom. But then I looked at the triple Qs, and this is why it's important to correlate ETFs and futures together so that you don't get stopped out of your positions or scared out of your positions. The triple Qs, despite what the market was doing, or what the SPY was doing, I should say, the SPY was dropping, but the triple Qs just refused to give up this level here at around 449, 450. It just would not give this up. And the SPY was dropping pretty hard, okay? But the Qs continued to hold, and then once the buyers started stepping in, we went higher, right? They aggressively stepped in, and we started to head higher. But that is what kept me this is my confirmation that I should stay in my positions, that we're still safe. And not only that, just across the market, when you're looking at tech stocks, they were all holding key levels. You had Apple holding 193, you had AMD or semis holding their key levels, AMD was holding 160. Everything was still looking good across the board despite SPY dropping. So I had to stay in my positions, and I felt really safe in my positions as long as the Qs continued to hold. And that's exactly what the Qs did. So what are my key levels as far as the Qs go? Well, first we're looking at, as far as upside, 455.5, 456. That is the key level that I'm looking for here. We zoom out. As far as downside goes, I'm not concerned or too concerned about downside until we start breaking below 447, 446.8. Once again, okay, rejected here, rejection here, we bounced here, we somewhat rejected around here as well. So very important level, and we did break through here. So this level could get it's gotten weaker, but I still think that bulls are strong here and that we could potentially go higher. If we get above 456, 455.5 range, then chances are we're heading towards 458, 457, and then after that you're looking at a move towards 460. I told you guys in the last video, or at least multiple videos, that I think the highest we can go so far, at least in the near future, is 465, and I still stand by that. But we still have plenty of room. We have more room than 465. We have room all the way to at least 470, all right? 470, all right? As you guys can see, this trend here. If you guys think I'm making this trend up, let's go to our daily time frame so you get a better view here. If you think I'm making this trend up, as you guys can see, bounced here. I actually had it further back, but if you even reach it all the way back here where these other circles are, it bounced here, bounced here, bounced here, bounced. So this trend is very significant, very important, clearly. And even here, the market kind of acted like a magnet towards it, or the triple Qs acted like a magnet towards this area or this trend here before it finally broke down. So I think, or I imagine that that's where we're heading. We're heading back towards this trend, and then after that, we'll have to see what happens. So the highest we can go is 470. My price target for now on the triple Qs is 465. That's what I have for the triple Qs. All right. One thing that is bothering me. All right, so the one thing that's really bugging me, and it's not bugging me too much, is NQ. I told you guys in the last video that at some point NQ or Qs is going to have to catch up with each other. Whether the triple Qs falls with the NQ or NQ NASDAQ catches up with the triple Qs to the upside. And it looks like NASDAQ is trying to catch up with the NQ to the upside, the triple Qs to the upside. So we could have that happen tomorrow, but again, be very cautious. They always tend to lag behind each other. Either the triple Qs lags behind the NASDAQ or the NASDAQ lags behind the triple Qs. And so far, the NASDAQ is still holding below this key level of 18,680. And we're pretty close, okay? We're pretty close. After 18,680, you're looking at a move all the way to about, I would say, 18,750, 750, somewhere around that range, where there's a lot of turbulence in this area, okay? A lot of turbulence here. Let's actually mark it out so we can just be absolutely sure. Boom. Okay, there you go. So about 18,760 is what you're looking at next. There's a lot of wicks in this area, a lot of sellers in this area. So I imagine that this JOLTS opening news will come in and we could potentially break higher. But NASDAQ is pretty much really the only thing that's bothering me as far as potential downside here. We're still below key levels. We still haven't caught up with the triple Qs in my opinion. But we are creating higher lows here. We got a lower high here. We just haven't created created a higher high yet. So something to pay attention to yet here. All right, but so far bulls have stepped in. I honestly thought that we were going to drop much further, and that's still on the table. I did think that we were going to do one of these moves where we drop all the way down here to about 18,100. I think I mentioned this in another video before we see another move up. That's still on the table, but it's not on the table so much, in my opinion. I like 20% sure that we can see that move happen. Right now, I'm pretty much 80% sure that we're going to see more upside heading into tomorrow, Wednesday, and so forth. Not only that, but what do we know about Tuesdays? I mentioned this a few times. Tuesdays usually continue what Mondays finished, with more value. And today we finished with more upside, right? Not more upside, but we finished with upside. So I imagine Tuesday is going, or tomorrow is going to continue that same move. That's usually what happens. And then Wednesday is when the real show begins, okay? But we'll talk about that heading into tomorrow, or the close of tomorrow. But it's really the only thing that really bothers me about the NASDAQ. We still haven't broken above any key levels. We're still pretty much in this void right here. And the good side about this is that we're creating higher lows. We just haven't broken any structures as far as the upside to create a higher high yet. All right, let's go to our daily time frame. Make sure I'm not missing anything. I told you guys that we do have a inverse head and shoulders pattern here, and I'm not a fan of this wick here being a shoulder. So I would have liked to see a candle down here, and yes, I wouldn't mind us seeing a little bit more downside, where we can form somewhat of a better shoulder, I should say, for lack of better wording, where we see one of these moves maybe, and then we break higher. That could happen still, but I'm not too much counting on it right now. Everything across the board, besides the NASDAQ, looks absolutely amazing. I just can't ignore that. ES. So ES pretty much on the same boat, I would say. I told you guys that this move is possible heading into tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but this week. We either just break out of here, or we continue to just see the market play games until whatever day the market decides to take off, where we consolidate in this area and then we break out. Okay, so either this week is going to be a huge snore fest, be very annoying, or it's going to be very great. Okay, those are the three options there. So we either consolidate in this area and all the way to this point, and then we break higher on the ES. I'm counting on us breaking higher. We go to our daily time frame. We zoom out. As you guys can see, I'm not making this stuff up or making these trends up. As you guys can see, we go back, we bounced here, and it looks like, again, like I mentioned in the other video, that we could potentially form a inverse head and shoulders pattern here if it's not formed already. And our neckline is pretty much at around, I would say, 5,330 range. And after that, you can just break much higher. So something to look out for on the ES. I'm hoping we don't see more consolidation. That would be really, really annoying. But it is on the table. So be very cautious heading into tomorrow. Okay, we are still in this channel right here. And ES can easily just pretty much reject this channel. And we just continue to just have more downside. Maybe all the way down to 5,200, 5,210, somewhere around there. Maybe see one more bounce and then consolidate and go higher. Okay, so that is on the table. If we just so happen to break out of here, then I think we're looking absolutely amazing. So what I will say is that the SPY looks great. Okay, it looks absolutely amazing. Okay, I'm going to say that much. The Qs looks great. All right, so despite what I'm saying about the ES and NQ, remember what I said before. They can just be lagging behind the SPY and the triple Qs. Simple as that. They can just be looking to catch up at this point. So they might just catch up tomorrow. So despite everything I'm saying with the NQ being below key level here and the ES probably going to consolidate in here, with how the SPY and Qs, triple Qs are looking, it looks like they want to go higher. So at some point, I imagine ES and triple Qs may want to catch up with them. All right. So again, I'm still leaning more bullish than anything heading into tomorrow, rest of the week, whatever. All right. That's all I have as far as the ETFs. Let's go over the stocks that I was talking about in our last video. Congratulations if you traded Apple. In the Discord, we took profit on Apple. I made a lot more than this, but I think I closed this at like $600. So congratulations if you took this trade on Apple. I mentioned this trade in the last video, so if you did take it, congrats. If you're still in it, Apple still looks absolutely amazing, guys. The only difference, the thing with me is that I take profit when I like my profit. Simple as that. I don't wait for price targets or anything. If I like it, I'm going to take profit. Simple as that. I have rules. I have rules. I follow my rules, or I try my best to follow my rules, and I take profit when I like my profit. Simple as that. But everything still looks absolutely amazing for Apple. I think it's going to head towards 196 probably tomorrow, if not tomorrow, Wednesday. After 196, you're looking at 198, 199 range. Same thing I said before. If Apple breaks above the 200 level, pack your bags, leave the spouse, get the kids, get the dog, leave the cat. You're going to the moon. This thing it still looks amazing. All right. A great entry that you probably would have taken, or I would have taken, is 193. When we bounced off 193, I would have took another entry there. The reason why I didn't is because I'm already in enough trades. I don't want to be in too many plays at once. But 193 would have been an absolutely beautiful entry on Apple. I still think Apple is good to go. I think Apple is going to go higher. I still believe in this double bottom pattern, or the potential of this double bottom pattern on the weekly. Not only the weekly, but the monthly time frame, you have a potential double bottom pattern. Everything about Apple looks absolutely amazing. I'm hyping myself up so much, I might jump into this play again tomorrow. It just looks so good. I mean, I can't see this failing. I just can't. I have nothing bad to say about this play. I mean, the most you can say is, okay, there's a gap all the way down here at around 173. I don't know what would cause that to happen for us to drop like that, but I mean, it's possible. I mean, right? But at the end of the day, everything about Apple screams upside. Everything about it. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, that's all I got. 196. After 196, you're looking at 199. It breaks above 200. Pack your bags. You're going to the moon, people. All right. As long as it stays above 187, you are golden. Okay. 187. If you want to have a tighter stop loss, 190. Okay. It stays above 190, you are good to go. If you want to have like a more loose stop loss, then you can look at about 187. It breaks below 187. You might want to get out of that play. Other than that, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The July contracts still look amazing. So yeah, if you want my plays early, join the Discord. Link is in the description below. Other than that, I'll try my best to put out more plays in this video. It won't be often, probably at the end of every week. I'll see what I'm liking, and then from there, you do what you want. Okay, but Apple, amazing. Amazon. Amazon's finally moving. Okay, it's finally moving. We are still in our Amazon play. Remember, we got in at around 174. Absolutely beautiful play. I told you guys this is the monthly support at 174. This is our monthly level. Beautiful bounce here. Another supply and demand zone here. As you guys can see, we either acted like a magnet on the supply and demand zone, or we bounced or rejected off of it. Buyers, I tell you guys all the time, Wix tell you where buyers and sellers are. Buyers are strong around the 170s, 174 area. And as you guys can see, we bounced off this area. We are rejecting this trend line here. I mean, Amazon looks ready to go. I don't know what else to tell you. Even this trend here, if you're the type of trader that don't like trends, I mean, it's clear as day. Bounce here, you bounced here, you're currently bouncing here. Not only are you bouncing here, but you're bouncing off your monthly support in your 4-hour supply and demand zone. Triple confirmation that Amazon is ready to take off. What more do you need here? Amazon's heading to 180 tomorrow. Mark my words, I think this thing is ready to go. Highest I'm looking at least for the short term for now, is 185, but I absolutely believe that Amazon is going to make newer highs in the near future, around 200 if not higher. So do what you want with that information. We are still in Amazon 200 contracts for June 21st. Absolutely beautiful. I have nothing negative to say. If it gives up 174, I would say 173.8, then you might want to bag out of this play. All right. Other than that, beautiful. If you missed it and you're looking for another entry, your other entry would probably have been around 176, 177 range. It did give you an opportunity to get back in there. As long as it was hugging this trend line, you were completely fine. Other than that, that's really what I have for Amazon. It gets above 180, then you could look for an entry there. But other than that, that's all I have. Amazon looks amazing. This thing is ready to blow. Absolutely beautiful play. Microsoft. Microsoft. So Microsoft has to make a decision. Okay, this is what I'm going to tell you guys. It has to make a decision. It looks like it's making a decision already. And the reason why I say it has to make a decision because look at where it's at. It's between this supply. It's between this daily supply and demand zone here, and it's stuck between this trend as well. So I think the decision that's going to be made for Microsoft is to go higher. Reason being is that again, Wicks tell you where sellers and buyers are. Buyers are stepping in multiple times here. 1, 2. Bears probably are going to give up if this continues to happen. Okay, if Bears cannot get this thing lower and break lower, they're going to give up. They're going to get stopped out, and Bulls are going to step in and absolutely take control of this thing. All right, I told you guys that you can jump the gun. If you want to jump the gun, look for a 410 between 405, 410 entry. Other than that, if you want to play it safe, you want Microsoft to break above 420, 421 range, and after that, this thing is going to the absolute moon. Pack your bags, get ready to go. Tell the kids to leave the snacks. There's going to be snacks there, and you're good to go. There's a gap fill at around 425. If it gets above 420, 421, then it's going to head towards this gap fill at around 425. Other than that, again, Microsoft, I'm so stuck on Amazon. Microsoft has to make a decision at this point, okay? It's just trapped here, okay? So I imagine that decision is going to come in tomorrow. The latest I'm looking at is about Wednesday, and I'm not guaranteeing it's going to go up, but I'm putting my money on this thing going up. Okay, simple as that. Are we in a trade on this thing? We are not. All right, so probably going to jump into a trade if we just so happen to get above that 420 level, depending on how things look in the open. If not 420, if we can get back in the 416, 415 range tomorrow, then I might have to jump the gun. I might jump the gun, okay? We'll see. If you want access to the plays, again, link is in the description below. Other than that, that's all I have for Microsoft, guys. I mean, if it breaks below 400, I don't see that happening. But if it just so happens to do one of these, all right? If it just so happens, because, I'm sounding too bullish, right? If it just so happen to do one of these, beautiful entry. If it hits 400, I think that's a beautiful entry. I think that's an absolute killer entry. I mean, I don't think I have to tell you guys why that's a killer entry. Look over here. You have a shoulder here. You have your head here. That will be another shoulder here if this forms, okay? Again, I'm not a fan of Wicks being a shoulder, but, I mean, this thing looks bullish. The market looks bullish. If anything, Microsoft will go up with the market. Other than that, if the market does decide to tank for whatever reason, 400 will be my entry. I think that would be the perfect entry. Okay, absolutely. I mean, no doubt in my mind. Perfect entry. 400. If it goes lower than that, I would be surprised. Maybe 395, 396 range. But other than that, you'll have, I mean, again, perfect entry. I think I've said it enough. I think I've dragged it enough. AMD. Oh, price target for Microsoft, in case you missed the last video. 450 is my short-term target. After that, I think this thing can go as high as 480. Okay, you want to see Microsoft break above 435. If it breaks above 435, pack your bags, leave the spouse, man. They're just gonna hold you back. Get the kids. If you don't have kids, that's even better. Grab the dog, and we're out. Okay, we're going to the moon. Grab you a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Grab whatever you need. The food's gonna be there. All right, you're gonna have enough money to buy your own food. Okay, simple as that. Microsoft 450, 480, highest I'm looking at. AMD, I'm loving AMD. Absolutely loving AMD. The way this thing held 160 was something out of a movie. All right, AMD, absolutely beautiful play. Ascending triangle. I mean, you couldn't ask for any better. I think NVIDIA is like above 1150 after hours, so at some point I think AMD is going to follow. AMD also announced a new chip, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I mean, this thing, the way when the market dropped, when SPY was dropping, AMD didn't even give any hopes of giving up this level at 160. It didn't even attempt to. All right, this thing held up so well. Okay, beautiful entry if you got in here. Okay, beautiful entry. I would not be mad at this entry. It gets below 160. I think your risk tolerance here is absolutely beautiful. 163 around 163, I would say 164 if you really want to be safe, was a beautiful entry on AMD. As you guys can see, we bounced here, rejected here, bounced here, bounced. So 160 was really, really tough. AMD held its ground. The market cannot drag this thing down for nothing. So I think from this point on, I think, in my personal opinion, do what you want with this information, AMD is ready to go. Simple as that. I think AMD is ready to go. If anything, it'll just maybe consolidate in here a little bit more. But it breaks out of this ascending triangle. Pack your bags. All right. Very illiquid area. After we break above 174, we can say 175 cycle level to be safe. Very illiquid area. Very liquid. Okay, this thing is not acting right. Very illiquid here. We're going to move fast. We're going to move fast. We're going to head towards that 180. We get the highest I'm looking at is 185 on AMD. Simple as that. Absolutely beautiful play. Again, I'm not worried about downside until it breaks below 160. It breaks below 160, we're probably going to head to 155 very fast. Other than that, that's all I have for AMD. Absolutely beautiful play. Ascending triangle is still in play. It held its ground. The market cannot stop it or bring it down. I think it's ready to go. Last but not least, last stock I went over the last video, AMC. People in the Discord was calling me an insider because the way it bounced in the morning or gapped up in the morning. It gapped up to all the way like $5 or $6 somewhere around that range, and then it pretty much gave it all back. Last thing I think AMD is going to do, I'm not a person who trades AMD like that or even pay attention to it like that or pay attention to the news and Roaring Kitty and all that stuff. I don't pay attention to much of anything. I just look at the charts, guys. So feel free to do your own DD as far as AMC. Have I been saying AMD the whole time? AMC, do your own DD, do your own research on AMC. Maybe if you one of those people that have been following AMC since the beginning of time, you know more than me as far as the fundamentals and the news and all that fun stuff. But other than that, as far as TA goes, worst case scenario, you see AMD fill this gap at around 440, 430 range and then go higher. Still looks good. Still looks absolutely great. I'm in 5.5. I alerted in the group here. Yeah, 5.5 calls for July 12th. We started pretty light on this position, so nothing too crazy so far. I don't trade meme stops like that, but I feel like if this thing is going to take off, it's going to take off very well. My price target for now is about $7, and then $10 I'm looking at being the minimum. Okay, keyword minimum. I absolutely think AMD has the potential to go much higher than that. Okay, much higher than $10. But again, if some news comes out or whatever the case may be, I don't know. AMC is just weird like that. We look at the monthly time frame. I told you guys about this inverted hammer pattern on the monthly time frame. At some point, there's also a fair value gap at around $10. So at some point, it has to come up here. Okay, either that or it gets delisted. I don't know, but at some point, it has to come up here. So yeah, we have plenty of time on these contracts all the way to July 12th. I think AMC is going to take off eventually, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it just goes. I mean, we could zoom out actually. At some point, there's probably a fair value gap at around the $40 mark too, between the $30 and $40 mark too. So I wouldn't be surprised it even goes that high. Other than that, after that, it just gets really. There's a lot of turbulence, so I'm not gonna count on it going much higher than that. But yeah, still think AMC is good to go. It hasn't did anything for me to think otherwise. That's all I have for AMC. Worst case scenario, again, it just fills this gap and then bounce higher. But other than that, that's all I have, guys. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video. I know it was a pretty long one. If you have any suggestions, I know the volume has been weird. Hopefully it's fixed this time. I keep tinkering with it. Hopefully it's fixed this time. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. Other than that, watch the videos on your phone because it works fine on a phone. It just computers seem to have the problem. All right. Other than that, that's all I have. See you guys in the next video. Have a good one, traders.